When I lived in Oklahoma, I had a veranda and I used to sit out on it and write songs. And this is a song that I wrote while sitting out on that veranda and watching a storm just approach like a wall. And I was probably not well advised to just sit there and watch that storm as it approached me. It was still some distance off, but then the lightning came out of the clear blue sky above and knocked a very large limb off of a tree across the street. So I got inside really quickly. However, that storm inspired me to write a song about old Ironsides, which was the USS Constitution, probably the most famous of the clipper ships in the U.S. Navy, and for many long years, I think even up to World War II, officially the flagship of the U.S. Navy. One of the greatest terrors that those ancient clipper ships could face wasn't necessarily battle. Well, battle was, of course, a big terror that they could face, but great storms were also a big terror. And so this is a song about the USS Constitution surviving a storm. And most of the men survive the storm as well, but the captain does not. And that's where this becomes a ghost song, because the captain promises his men that whenever it rains, he'll stand out on his porch and remember them. And of course, even though he didn't make it back from the storm, he still stands out on his porch. So this is the song Old Ironsides, a song that I wrote in 1999. There was still a little light left in the western sky, and the spray from the storm and the howling darkness followed. As the last sail was furled, the captain ordered the ship about. He stood at the prow as the clipper turned. The old captain said, "Turn to face the storm, boys, pray for your lives. Make your peace with God, boys, and then stand up and fight. The Constitution will make it through. Old Ironsides won't fail, I promise you." Sprays off the roof of my neighbor's house, and the rain screams across my veranda. I'll stand there and I'll remember you, and this day, if you'll just remember, to turn and face the storm, boys, pray for your lives. Make your peace with God, boys, then stand up and fight. The Constitution will make it through. Old Ironsides won't fail, I promise you. Every man remembers who made it home. The old captain at the prow saying, "Pray for your souls." True to his word, when the storms bring the rain, the captain stands out on his porch and remembers that day. Remembers each man. Remembers the voyage from which he never came home. Remember to turn and face stand up and fight. The Constitution will make it through. Old Ironsides won't fail, I promise you. Every man remembered, each who made it home. The old captain at the prow sings, "Man, pray for your souls." True to his word, when the storms bring the rain, the captain stands out on his porch, remembers that day, remembers each man, remembers the voyage from which he never came home. Probably the most important thing that I can tell you about singing this song, or singing any song, is don't do what you hear me doing. Create your own style. And that's kind of a direction that I followed all my life. I cover a lot of other singers' songs, but I don't try to sing like them. There are things that if they do them, I would tear my voice up trying to do them. And there are things that I do that would probably tear most other people's voices up if they tried to do them. So you just really have to figure out your own singing style. There are times when I deliberately let my voice rag out as creating a character, for instance, the old captain. So I'll deliberately rag my voice out on the high notes. However, that's a technique that I've developed which involves keeping a lot of saliva in the back of my throat and forming a bubble that sits on top of the vocal cords. So the vocal cords aren't what's necessarily creating all of that distortion. It's the saliva in the back of my throat. I can't tell you how to make that happen for your voice. You'll just have to figure it out for yourself. But don't commit to doing that in front of an audience until you know how to do it without hurting yourself, or at least without hurting yourself too badly. And so you'll hear me going, "Pray for your lives, but I can still sing up there," operatically. It's just that I chose to do it a little bit differently. A couple of things about playing the guitar. This is a very easy song in a lot of ways, but it's just got a lot of moving parts. And it is going to require the pick trick, which I developed where I tuck the pick in the crook of my middle finger. You don't have to do it that way, but you will want to have a way of being able to finger pick and then use the flat pick. Some people use thumb picks. Some people will do the finger picking by holding the pick between their thumb and forefinger and picking with the rest of their fingers. Whichever technique that you develop and whatever works for you, it is a really valuable technique in, when you get just a little bit beyond folk music and into what I would call folk rock. And I think that Old Ironsides fits into that category. So to make Old Ironsides happen, it starts with a D minor chord, only you pull out everything except a little double stop off of the G string and the B string, and you leave the D string and the E string open. And then it's D minor, E minor, D minor, C, B flat. But with the chords that I'm calling out, it's just the double stops off of those chords, and the D string and the E string remain open the entire time. So that's the first section, that's the verse, is just D minor, E minor, D minor, C, B flat. And the only difference here is the number of times that you play the D minor. Then there's a little kind of a section that ties the verse to the chorus. And that little transition is again double stops played with some of the strings open. Only this time I'm playing the outside, so I'm playing the root and the third of a C chord, which you could bar like that, but I'm only playing the root and the third, the root being on the A string and the third being on the B string. And I'm playing the G strings and D strings open. So C, D minor, E minor. Now I could do the E minor up here, but it's just quicker for me to do it down here, because I'm going to go to the B flat. So C major, D minor, E minor, B flat, A. And then we'll come back and do the full chords on the B flat and the A when I switch over to the pick. Okay, now those fast chords there are D minor, B flat, D minor, C. And then eventually I'll walk the C down to an A minor. A minor, A major, A minor, A major. So that's the chorus. The bridge of the song is all A and A major and E major. So here's the A major. That's all in A major. I'm just walking up the B string, and then restating the A chord up here, then to the E major. And then the end of the bridge, I'll go to what's essentially a C chord, but if you play a G chord holding the 3rd fret on both the E and B strings, and then just move over to a C chord, it'll start on the C, G, back to the A major, technically that what I call the ghost part of the song is actually still part of the bridge, but and so this song is odd in that it ends on the bridge, but the ghost part of the song, or the ending of the bridge, is on an E minor, and it'll go E minor 7, E minor 6 by putting the little finger on the 3rd fret and then down to the 2nd fret of the B string. So I've had other friends learn how to play my songs, and they have consistently said that my finger picking patterns are just a little bit on the weird side. And so if you want to perform this song, I wouldn't sweat too much about trying to get your finger picking patterns exactly the same as mine. Just come up with a finger picking pattern that sounds good for it. And you may end up coming up with a way of doing it that whereby you can do the whole thing with a flat pick. You can find your way through the song and build an interesting version of it. I'd really like to hear it if you do develop a version of the song. If you do use it in performance, I'd like to know about it, so please contact me at robertbrucescott.com and let me know, because I'd be happy to know my songs are out there being used by other musicians. If you are interested in the mechanicals so that you can put the song on a CD, contact me through www.robertbrucescott.com and I will be glad to arrange that for you. The next song in my 12-string project that I plan to put up will be a fantastic little song, probably the greatest 12-string jam ever written, Wholehearted by Extreme.